Welcome to another episode of Roast My Solves, where as a sub-18 cuber, I do free solve critiques for cubers trying to achieve sub-20. My goal is to make the most in-depth solve critiques that the cubing industry has ever seen. And today we're going to be looking at Duck's 20.70 average of 5. And if you do X crosses or you'd like to learn them, I think his fifth solve is one to stick around to because there's a lot of insight in there. And then finally, if you'd like to have your solves critiqued, click the first link in description, which should take you to my free private community. Click join and I'll reach out to you. So a couple of things here for your cross. It took you 14 moves to solve, and you had 3 rotations in it. You should never rotate during cross. Your cross should always be solved and can always be solved in 8 moves or less. And on average, for the sub-20 cuber, you wanna aim for a sub-3 cross. The laws you wanna apply here for cross is, first of all, start with your bad edges. Now, this is not gonna be true for every single solve. Sometimes you do have to start with your good edges, depending on the situation. And then the second rule is use other edges to insert the other edges. So what I mean by that is I can see that these 3 are bad edges and they're going to take more than one move to insert. So what I can do is to save moves by putting the green here so that when I align it like this, first of all, it turns into a good edge. And second of all, I can do that to insert this edge. And as I insert it, this blue piece here aligns as well. So then my hand would have already been there at the back. I would do a B prime like that, push U, L2 prime. So just to show you with the finger tricks, I would do it like this. For your first pair here, you did this to notice this pair. And I just want to mention that you should avoid looking into the back when looking for pairs. You'd rather use the U layer as opposed to doing that. What you did was this to split them up. And then you did this to insert. For your next pair, you saw this edge and this corner. And again, your solution was efficient in terms of move count, but finger tricks could have been better. So here's what you could have done with finger tricks. This was your next pair, and you did a U2, and then you took out the corner like this, which pairs them up, and then you rotated, did a U2, fixed your mistake with the U prime, and then you did that to insert into the front. A couple of things here. Number one, you rotated mid solution. So you did this, like I said, and then you had to rotate in order to solve them into the front. The problem with that is your look ahead, first of all, is affected in the sense that you have less moves to look ahead to your next pair. And then the second thing is you're more prone to lockups. So what you want to do is to get the rotation out of the way immediately, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, like I said, you have a decent move count for your F2L, and that just tells me that you're ready for advanced F2L. And what that consists of mainly is, instead of like looking at both pieces and trying to deduce what case you're gonna have, you just have to look at the edge piece and basically determine whether it's a oriented edge or not. So in this case, it isn't, meaning the top color being red does not match either the front or the back color. In this case, it means we have to solve this pair with either F moves or a rotation. And you know you want to avoid those moves typically. So what I would have done is get the rotation first out of the way, and then I would do a U prime, and then I'd pair them up like this and solve them into the front. And then for your final pair, these two, you rotated this way, did a U, rotated again, did an R prime, U2 R, and then you did a U prime, rotated, and then inserted. You should have a maximum of one rotation for each F12 pair. So what I would have done using intuitive F12 is rotate only one time, because this is a bad edge. So I know I have to rotate. So I would have done that to split them up and then insert like that. To Lagola, you did this. And then for this soon, you had bad finger tricks for it. So I suggest learning more efficient finger tricks, like this. And then for PLR, you recognized doing this. So use the U layer instead. And then you went. If you're enjoying the video so far, please do me a favor and like the video. If it's helpful, please comment as well. Please share it with other cubers who are trying to achieve sub 20. I've noticed that a lot of the people that watch the videos actually aren't subscribed, so it would really mean a lot if you did. So for your second cross solution, you notice that these two are solved relative to each other because orange is on the right of green. So you did this to align them, and then you did an L2, and then still had this edge, which isn't a bad edge, but you solved like that. What I would have done for this cross is first notice that there aren't any bad edges. So all pieces can be solved in one move. Since these two are solved relative to each other, and since red goes on the left of green, I would have to offset my cross a bit more to the back so I can insert this red piece, and then I would align my cross like that, and then insert my blue edge, which would have saved you 3 moves compared to your solution. So naturally, this was the first pair you saw, and you did this to remove it from the slot, rotated this way, and solved it into the front. Now, what I would have done differently is, even if I started off with those pair of moves, I would have rotated rather so that I can solve it into the back. And this is just an F12 law. You want to aim to solve your back slots first for every solve, because it just gives you more pieces to look ahead to for your next pairs. Your next pair were these two. And what you did was you did a U2, rotated this way, and then solved that into the back, which is an okay solution. But the problem I have there is that you didn't start with the rotation. So what I would have done is still apply edge orientation to this pair, or this edge. So noticing that the top color being red does not match either the back or front color, I know I have to rotate. So instead of starting with a set of moves, then rotating, which kind of slows you down and you're more prone to lockups, I'd rather rotate first and then solve that in one fluid solution. For your third pair, you rotated this way, which is okay. And then you solve this case just with suboptimal finger tricks. Try finding more efficient finger tricks for this case. And same goes for fourth pair. You did that just with suboptimal finger tricks. For your two look OLR, you hesitated going into this case. So you did a wide F, and then you did a wide F prime to kind of recognize the case again. Then you continued with that algorithm. And then for this soon case, you had suboptimal finger tricks for it. So here's an idea of what a decently finger tricked soon would look like. And then for PLR, you recognize doing this, and this should honestly be an easy enough case to only recognize from these two sides. But anyway, you did a U2 and you did this algorithm. And then you AUF the wrong way, did a U, then a U2. For your third cross here, you had a fairly easy cross, all good edges, and they're all Most of them are aligned at least. Somehow you managed to rotate during this cross. So once again, never rotate during cross. What you did was D prime to align green. Then you did a wide R, which inserts this orange. Then you did a U. Then you had to rotate this way and you did an R2. One way you can finger trick this is by going D prime L, F, R2. For your next pair, you did this, trying to find it, only to find it here. So I think that's a testament to never doing this during F12. Even Dylan Miller talks about this. He says this is a hotspot that you want to be looking out for new pairs as you're doing your F12. Anyway, you rotated this way, did a U, then rotated again, and then you split these two up, and then you rotate it again and solve it into the front. Have a maximum of 1 rotation per F12 move. If you find yourself rotating more than once, there's definitely a better solution out there. And number 2, you've actually solved both your front slots here, which makes your next 2 slots significantly harder to solve. What I would have done, again, looking at edge orientation, this is a not oriented edge because the green does not match the front or the back, so I know I have to rotate. And then now it's a good edge because it matches blue. So I would have done a U2 and then I would have split them up like that, which pairs them up and actually solve it into the back. And then for your next pair, you, I guess, had to do this because your front 2 slots were solved. Then you did a Y, then R prime, U prime, R, and then U prime, R prime, U, R, which pairs these two. And then you hedged it like that. This is a bad habit I had in the past, and it only gets worse if you don't treat it ahead of time. So learn how to hedge with good finger tricks. Pinch F, R prime, pinch F prime, R. And then for your final pair, I'm glad you got the rotation out of the way first, and then you solved this case, but problem is you had suboptimal finger tricks for it. So this is how I would have done it. So for Ola, you actually know this algorithm, so you almost one-looked it, but the problem is you did it from the wrong angle. It's supposed to be done from here, but anyway, this is what you did. So for your 4th cross here, you had a rotation in it. So I'm going to show you a better solution. So these two are inserted and aligned relative to each other. So we can ignore them. And then we have 2 bad edges on top. And the rule again is solve your bad edges first and use one piece to insert the other. So from green front, I would have aligned blue with green and then inserted it into the cross because it aligns. And then I would have put orange back so I could align my cross with their respective colors. And then I would have done an L2 to complete my cross. And even with the finger tricks, no regrips. So for your first pair here, you had an efficient solution, but then your finger tricks were inefficient. So without a regrip, you could have done the same moves you did, just more efficient. For your second pair here, I would have done this pair just because we're already there. But you saw this pair, and what you did was to split them up like that. Then you did this to pair them up, and you inserted into the front. So the problem there is that you had 13 moves, and you had a rotation in the middle, which again, you want to avoid. So what I would have done for this case is get the rotation out of the way first, which turned this into a good edge, and then do that, which would have been 9 moves. So for your third pair, you rotated all the way to the back, and you did this to remove them from the slot, which pairs them up perfectly to be inserted into the back. But the problem with that solution is that it's not one fluid motion. So what I mean by that is this could have been done instead of like this. It could have been done in one fluid move, like that. For your fourth solve here, you do U prime, and then you rotate, then L prime U to L to split up the pair, and then you do a U2, and then you rotate, and then solve them into the front. What I would have done, again with edge orientation, top color is blue, and it matches the front, so I don't need to rotate or do F moves for the solution. So I would have put them there in the back, split them up like so, and then 3 mover into the front. And then for OLL, you did this, and then you had bad finger tricks for this case. So here are more efficient finger tricks. And then for PLL, I'd rather have you, again, use your U layer to recognize. And then for this G perm, you actually did the T perm. And then you did that for your U perm. So what that tells me is that number 1, you AUF the wrong way. And number 2, you don't know full PLL. You can be sub 20 without full PLL, but that is a rough grind. So I suggest learning all G perms, full PLL in general, and that just gives you a better shot at sub 20. So for your final solve, you decided to do a double X cross, and let me just show you the moves you did. So you went F, R, U, R prime, U prime. You rotated R, U prime, R prime, L prime, U, L, U. Rotated this way, M, U2, M prime. Rotated U, U, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. Rotated this way, R, U prime, R prime. Rotated again, U prime, M prime, M, U prime, M prime, U, M. So that was 43 moves. You had 5 rotations in the total. So in every sense of the word, that was not efficient. So when we talk about efficiency, we talk about move count, we talk about finger tricks. So the algorithm being finger trick friendly. And then the third thing is it's easy to look ahead. So the purpose of X crosses is that solving your cross and F2L is either less moves, it has better finger tricks, and it makes look ahead easier. So none of those 3 criteria were fulfilled for you to do this X cross. So my general rule is if you still rotate during your regular cross or can't even plan your entire cross and inspection, I would avoid X crosses in general. And then for OLL, you confused 2 OLLs. So you did a U prime, and then you did a U2, because you thought this was OLL 37, I guess. And then you did this, and then you had to do this algorithm. And then for PLL, you did this, trying to recognize, and you did a U, then a U2, then you did this crazy PLL with S moves in it. So instead, what I'm gonna do is my regular RB perm. And this is an algorithm I can execute consistently and fluidly. So if your algorithm is too risky and you just can't consistently execute it in a fluid manner, then I would suggest trying to go for a less sexy algorithm. I would rather have an algorithm that I can basically execute consistently.